Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're doing GavsWeatherVids Sunny Roundup for today's second video. So wow, we're going to have your eclectic mix of this and that. We're going to be looking at things like sea surface temperature anomalies, solar activity, the QBO, the AO, the LEO, and much more as well, along with weather for the next 10 to 14 days too. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And I shall talk you through our Sunday roundup in about. This will be the final Sunday roundup of the year, because of course next week we are beginning winter updates. This is basically setting up the first winter update next week. So most of the things that look at in terms of like solar activity and seasonal temperatures, etc. In this video is where we will what we will compare to next week, when we do the first winter update. So quite a pivotal and important Sunday roundup, this one. So please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much everybody. I hope you're having a lovely Sunday. We're going to be back later on, by the way, live streaming at 8 PM. We'll show you loads of long range in that one. I'm going to try and get in CFS, Beijing Climate Centre, and Patal Pen. I'm going to try and get in all three in the live stream tonight. So it's going to be epic. That'll be from 8 PM. Right, okay, how are you having a lovely Sunday? Don't forget to check out the 6 AM forecast as well, by the way, if you'd like to do that. Right then, here we go. We're going to start off with certain activity. So this disk is looking on our side of the disk today. Many sunspot regions, one up there, and quite a few down in the southern hemisphere of the sun as well. So activity is at moderate levels at the moment and is expected to remain at moderate levels over the next few days, but could fall to low levels. But I think they're expecting it to remain at moderate levels over the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids Sunday Roundup Solar Activity Tracker, updated by our good friend Shryan. Thank you so much to Shryan Brewing for updating this. So the orange line depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. The orange line, orange spot, you can see, or spots, you can see that we're very up and down with sunspots at the moment. So we're getting like spikes up and drops down, really. But of course, overall, the trend is an upwards trend from solar minimum through to solar maximum. We're expecting that we'll reach the solar maximum of this solar cycle around 2025. So we're very much in the upwards phase of the solar cycle at the moment. The thick red and green line are the 7-day and 30-day average for sunspots, and you can see that the trend is up, but it's a slow upwards trend. So we explained this in previous solar cycles, although perhaps a little bit more of an active solar cycle than we expected, like a couple of years ago. It is still quite a weak solar cycle, and the trend upwards is a relatively slow one as well. So this thick green line from where we start just there, at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, to where we are right now in August 2022, it's not deviated that much. It has trended up a bit, especially around there, when we got into May. That was our most active month of the solar cycle so far in May 2022, and then a little bit of an easing of the solar cycle after that. Really. You will notice that most days are having sunspots, though. Even the days where we drop down, they do still have a number, albeit quite a smallish number, they do still have a number of sunspots. So the trend is very much an upward trend, but it is quite slow. This is how solar cycle 25, the current solar cycle, is compared to solar cycle number 24 on a month-by-month basis. So that is the solar minimum and beginning of solar cycle, solar minimum, solar cycle 23, beginning of solar cycle 24. This is the end of solar cycle 24, beginning of solar cycle 25. So you see that solar cycle 24 had a very slow upwards trend until it kind of ramped up very quickly in the second half of 2011. We had the first peak of solar cycle 24 early on in 2011, and then there was a fallback through 2012 and the first half of 2013 before we got the second peak of solar cycle 24, which was the solar maximum of the solar cycle occurring in early 2014 with that spot just there. Where we are right now is just here. That is July 2022 solar activity. So the most active month so far of the solar cycle was in May, that spot just there. Then we fell back quite a bit in June of 2022. And then we lifted up. So we're on a par with like 2011, really. This is where we was in like 2011 into 2012, that sort of period. So we're kind of on a par. If we was to draw a line, we're kind of on a par with like 2011, 2012 in terms of solar activity. Albeit, remember, in the second half, or late on in 2011, through the autumn of 2011, we did get like a very rapid spike up. We have not reached that kind of level just yet. Maybe we will later on in the year. But it looks like, you know, mid 2011 and much of 2012, that's roughly where we are with the solar cycle 24 at the moment in terms of overall activity. This is from, I think you search for Shrine for the data there. This is from Richard. This is showing spotted days and the current spotted stretch. So this is showing on a year-by-year basis the number of sunspots through the year. So in 2022 so far, we've had 238 sunspots, which is 99% of the year. So just one day, but I think we didn't have any sunspots. Other than that, every day this year has had sunspots. And again, that's kind of comparable with 2011. We come down to 2011 just here. We see that that year had 363 days with sunspots, I should say, which again was 99% of the year. Just a couple of days there in 2011 that didn't have any sunspots. So definitely like 2021, the comparable year in solar cycle 24 is 2011. So the minimum year, of course, was 2019. That had just 84 days with sunspots. And then 2020, first year of solar cycle, which the comparable year, of course, for that would be 2010. And 2021 have 301 days without sunspots. So 2019 was a solar minimum year. The comparable year for that is 2008. 2020, the comparable year is 2009. 2021, the comparable year is 2010. And then 2022, so far, the comparable year is 2011. And, you know, they're running in a similar fashion, although I think slightly more in way of activity for solar cycle 25 compared to solar cycle 24. Slightly more in the way of activity, but they're not all that much in it, I don't think. And I still maintain, I still reckon that in the end, the two solar cycles are going to come out in a very similar ways. Maybe going about it in a slightly different way. There's always, you know, you never compare completely light for light, so there'll always be slight differences with anything, you know, in terms of climate and weather and whatnot, and space weather too. But I think in the end, solar cycle 25 is going to perform in a similar way to solar cycle 25 will perform in a similar way to solar cycle 24. So we should wait and see how it all plays out. Of course, through the winter updates, we will be keeping a very, very close eye on solar activities. We always do on a week-by-week basis, and we will be finding out at some point through the winter updates how the winters in this portion of the solar cycle, you know, normally look and whatnot. So there's going to be a lot on solar activity in our winter updates. As always, thank you so much to Shryan and to Richard for the data. Right, sea survey temperature anomalies next. So we've got 4 areas of interest. We've got the ENSO region just here, the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. Got the North Pacific just there. We've got the Indian Ocean over here. And then we've got the North Atlantic over there. Let's take ENSO first of all. So La Nina continues. This is the 3rd year of La Nina. It would be the 3rd La Nina winter. You can see that it's mainly sort of central and western base at the moment. It is warmer over in the eastern part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, although cold waters are gathering again off the coast of Chile and Peru, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see this eastern portion of the equatorial Pacific Ocean getting colder over the next few months as well. As it is, it's like a weak La Niña through the central and western part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Going north, very warm in the northern Pacific. Again, quite unusual when you've had such a long La Niña to still be seeing the northern Pacific so warm. Normally, La Niña would have like a cooling effect on the overall ocean, especially if it overall Pacific Ocean, especially if it goes on for for a very long time, as this one has done. So you would expect to see the North Pacific responding by now and looking quite a lot cooler than that. So that looks really warm, especially over this side of the Northern Pacific. Exceptionally warm. They're off the scale, really, over 5 degrees above average. Over here in the northeastern part of the Pacific Ocean, it is significantly warmer than normal. We do see a little bit of cooling towards the coast of California, at the western side of America, just there. And if the La Niña strengthens over the next few months, as I think it could do, we'll be watching out to see whether this northeastern corner of the Pacific Ocean turns colder again. Will it turn colder again in response to the La Niña as it did last winter? We'll have to wait and see about that. Keeping a very close eye on ENSO and whatnot in winter updates. Over in the Indian Ocean, we've got a negative IOD. So you see these cooler waters just here, cooler waters just there, and then warmer through here. That is what we call a negative IOD, Indian Ocean dipole. Right, talk about much more about that in the winter updates when we get into winter updates and whatnot. But we have had like a negative IOD that's gone on all summer. And it looks like it's going to continue into the autumn as well. So a lot more about the IOD when we get into winter updates. Had a very positive, the reverse of that, very positive IOD in the winter of 2019-20, the polar vortex of doom winter. And there was quite a bit of speculation that the positive IOD probably played a big part in the zonality and the extremity of the polar vortex in the winter of 2019-2020. So in fact we've got the reverse of that. We've got a negative IOD rather than a positive IOD this year. Will be interesting to examine when we get into winter updates. And then of course over in the North Atlantic we see very warm waters as well up here, just looking really warm really through most of the North Atlantic. There is a cooler area just there between the Azores and the Canary Islands, but that apart, most of the Atlantic, most of the North Atlantic is looking warm. It's been a very, very quiet start to the hurricane season. I still have a feeling things are going to ramp up with this hurricane season, but it's a slow starter. Given how warm most of the sea surface temperature anomalies are there, it all still looks pretty primed to me, even into like the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. It's all looking primed, I reckon, for quite a lot of storms. So it's been a very, very slow starter, but I have a feeling that September could see things ramping up. And of course, we always keep a close eye on not only sea surface temperature anomalies, but also ENSO and also hurricane and tropical storm activity through our winter updates. That's going to be an important player for the winter updates starting next week. SOI, Southern Oscillation Index, is looking like this. So the SOI is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state in the southern Pacific Ocean, not driving anything, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. When the SOI is in a positive phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Niña. When the SOI is in a negative phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. So at the moment, we can see we've still got a lot of positivity of the SOI, but we did get some negative numbers earlier on in August. So, for example, on the 18th of August, we actually went down to minus 32.9. That's very atmospheric setup, very reflective of El Nino, and on the 19th of August, minus 15.78. But in more recent days, have the 22nd of August at plus 12, have the 23rd of August at plus 16, have 24th of August at plus 5, current negative days there, 25th, 26th, and then the latest couple of days, 27th, 28th of August, they go positive again, +6 and +16. So change the colour. So yeah, you get days that deviate and do something a bit different, but overall the SOI is still in a positive phase, and so therefore you know, the landing continues. The atmosphere and the ocean continue to be coupled with one another, and we expect landing to go on. That's certainly what CFSV2 is forecasting in terms of landing over the next few months. So we've got, this is a region 3.4 forecast for sea surface temperature anomalies for the next few months. Dates are on the bottom of the chart in monthly periods, of course. That's January 2023. Temperatures on the side. So at the moment we're around 1 degree below average in the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. So that's weak landing threshold, and CFSV2 carries that on really right way through towards the end of the year. By January we are ticking back up towards around half a degree below average. So I mean, that's a bit early. It'll probably be a little bit later on than that, but it does look as though landing is going to carry on through the remainder of the summer. Well, summer's nearly gone now, of course, through the autumn and into the winter. By next spring, CFSV2 wants to take things back towards El Nino territory, but of course that is a very long way off, and we'll have to wait and see about that. So it certainly looks like the winter of 2022-2023 is likely to be a third weak landing winter, which is quite unusual. QBO next, quasi-biennial oscillation, looking like this. This is the index from NERB. The QBO is really reflective of the strength of the zone westerly, so it oscillates between westerly and easterly phases. When you're in a westerly phase of the quasi-biennial oscillation, you strengthen the zone westerly. When you're in an easterly phase of the quasi-biennial oscillation, you weaken the zone of westerlies. And like in winter, ECQBOs tend to increase the chance of cold winter, but it's not that straightforward. Last winter, for example, 2021-2022 was an ECQBO winter, very strong ECQBO winter, and as we know, was a mild winter. So you can get mild winters with ECQBO, and you can sometimes get cold winters with a westerly QBO. Anyway, come down to 2022, we can see that we start the year with an easterly QBO, strong, mature easterly QBO, -23, -25, -26, -26, -19, very negative numbers. Then all of a sudden, in June, we go from -19.70 to just -3.78, transitioning into the westerly QBO. And then by the time we get through to July, the number actually comes out at +3.04. So July was the first month, if you like, of the westerly phase of a quasi-biennial oscillation within the troposphere. This is where August number will be placed. We'll get that next week, I think, when we give you the data in the first winter update. So we'll be able to give you August QBO number. I think it'll be more positive than July was, and we will then see increasingly positive numbers as we go through to the end of the year and on into the winter. The westerly QBO will strengthen them. This is how things are looking in terms of the atmospheric phase of the quasi-biennial oscillation of QBO. So this is from NASA. With this, you have to think that, like, this is the levels of the atmosphere. So we've got the stratosphere up here, 10 HPA, got the troposphere just there at 30 to 50 HPA. The sandy colour is like the westerly phase of the QBO. The blue-green colour is the easterly phase of the QBO. So you can see that, like, through most of 2021 and on toward 2022, we do have a proper easterly QBO phase scenario. Up here, we have the westerly QBO in the stratosphere initially, and you can see how that has propagated down from the stratosphere into the troposphere. It is now within that 30 to 50 HPA boundary of the active troposphere, where weather is taking place And so, yes, we can say that we are well and truly firmly in westerly phase of quasi-Siberian oscillation, and that's going to continue through winter of 2022-2023, which will be a westerly QBO winter. But I'll throw this in, not much to look at the moment, but this will be, and we'll be keeping an eye on the QBO, of course, winter updates, and we'll be keeping an eye on this, very much so, through winter updates too. This is from National Ice and National Ice Snow and Ice Data Center, I think. So this eventually this is all going to fill up with snow. This whole area across Siberia and Russia, always a fan favorite to watch this happen through winter updates. It will all fill up with snow, and that snow advance will spread across the Siberian and Russian plain. At the moment, there's barely any snow at all. One or two splotches here and there, but basically still snow-free across Russia and Siberia, but we will be keeping a close eye on that through winter updates, see how quickly the snow advances across Russian plain. We'll also be looking at Arctic sea ice extent. So this yellow area here is where we've got Arctic sea ice, of course. We are almost at the peak of melt season, another couple of weeks to go, and then we'll be at peak melt season. This is from National Snow and Ice Data Center. So this is showing Arctic sea ice extent for this year. This is 2022. You can see that's like the peak just there of Arctic sea ice in February to March for last season. This is like the melt part of the season, and dropping toward the minimum of Arctic sea ice extent. If we compare it like to a 2011-2020 average, you can see that we're actually a little bit above for this year, the 2011-2020 average for Arctic sea ice extent at the moment. If you compare it to 2001-2010, we're a little bit below that 10-year average. We're also well below 1991. 2020 and 1979 to 1990, well below that. So we're a bit above the most recent 10-year average, but below the other 10-year averages. And we will be keeping a close eye on that through the first one or two of the winter updates as we get to the peak of the melt season. In fact, in the first winter update, I will show you, how we're doing compared to all years, perhaps going back to 1979. We shall see about that. And of course, we'll keep a close eye on the AO and the NAO, the winter updates as well. Currently, the North Atlantic and, or should I say the Arctic oscillation, the AO, is in a negative phase, actually. So, black line shows where we've been with the Arctic oscillation, red lines are the GWF ensembles, forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. Dates are on the bottom of the chart, of course. So where we are right now is neutral to weakly negative. GFS ensembles, when we come to the end of August, beginning of September, actually forecasting that the AO will go even more negative, then come back up a little bit later on, perhaps into the second week of September, but still remaining a little bit below, a little bit below average. So negative or weakly negative, neutral to weak negative, looks like it's going to be the position of the AO as we go into September. That tells us that there will be some high latitude blocking in the next week or two. The NAO also looks like that. So again, black line shows where we've been with the North Atlantic oscillation. Red line shows again where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the North Atlantic oscillation to go. At the moment, similar to the AO, we're neutral to weakly negative. With the NAO, GFS ensembles are forecasting that the NAO will go more negative as we move into September. So this is a bit of a sign of a pattern change, I think, for September, possibly more away of high latitude blocking, possibly sending the jet stream southwards, and maybe turning things a little bit more unsettled as well. That is a little bit unusual for September, which actually tends to be one of the more positive months in terms of the AO and the NAO. So we'll keep a close eye on that through the winter updates, definitely. Winter update number 1 for the winter 2022-2023 will begin, will be released, will start, will be unveiled next Sunday before of September. I think we might premiere it as well, so all the details on that are to be revealed. Right, let's do some forecasting then before we go. These are GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off close to average at the moment. As we go from August into the beginning of September, upper air temperatures won't be too far from average, maybe a little bit above. And then later on into the end of the first week, on the second week of September, we see the upper air temperatures beginning to come down closer to average. So it doesn't look excessively warm there, excessively hot really, except maybe for the odd spike on 1 or 2 days, but doesn't look excessively warm or hot there over the next week or two. Precipitation-wise, more unsettled when we get into September as well. Rest of August has a lot of dry weather, but plenty of precipitation spikes there through the first week of September, and maybe lasting into the second week of September too. So cooler and wetter, I think, is basically the idea for September. Temperature anomalies from the 28th of August, 5th of September, however, are still coming out above average, so still a warmer than average week to come. Precipitation anomalies from the 28th of August, 5th of September. Begins to go a bit wetter in some places, especially so through like southwest Scotland, northern England. However, in the far north and south of the country, still a little bit drier than normal. Gradually, though, these precipitation anomalies are turning a bit more unsettled now. The latest wind blow map from earthnorthschool.net shows that we're under an area of high pressure today, and that high pressure will still be with us as we get into the middle of the of this week. So this is Wednesday from the UK Met Euro. High pressure dominates over to the north of the country. Thursday, Friday is when we get the change. High pressure weakens. Pincer movement is taking place. Trough of low pressure, thundery trough trying to come up from the south, and low pressure also trying to head in from off the Atlantic as well. The upshot is, as we get through the next weekend, turns very unsettled. Look at that. Low pressure right over top of the country by midnight on Sunday, 4th of September. Starting winter updates on a little bit of an autumnal note, I reckon there, with low pressure being showers along the spells of rain too. So UK Met saying things unsettled by next weekend. This is how Icon is looking again. High pressure and lots of dry, fine weather for the middle part of the week. Then high pressure weakens at the end of the week. Low pressure taking its place as you get through the next weekend. Looking very unsettled with Icon. That's midday this time next week. Sunday, 4th of September, with a bit of a dartboard over top of the country. Wow, wow, wow. That really does look very, very unsettled, doesn't it? And then the GFS midnight run, once more, we find high pressure dominating the weather through the middle part of the week. Then the high pressure weakens through next weekend, with low pressure developing close to the country, and particularly focused on the south patch, on England and Wales, with the GFS midnight run. It does suggest that the wettest weather probably going to be for more southern and western areas as opposed to the north and to the east. So quite a few days first week of September of unsettled weather. Then the high pressure gets back in, or the ridge gets back in anyway, as we go into the second week of September. Not excessively hot, but turns drier before eventually the low pressure comes back right at the very end of the GFS midnight run, gets us to the 13th of September with low pressure back in from the southwest. Now I have not got the 6Z up, so tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause the video. I want to show you the GFS 6Z. I'm going to pause the video, have a look at GFS 6Z in a second. See you in 2 modes. Okay, we're back and ready to show GFS 6Z, so here we go then, this is it. We begin again with GFS 6Z on Wednesday. High pressure is in control of the weather, lots of dry weather with it into the end of the week. The high pressure weakens, low pressure coming in from the Atlantic and also a thundery trough to the south turns things much more unsettled into next weekend, especially so for more southern and western areas. It's relatively warm, we are drawing up the air in like a southerly direction, so not particularly cold, but that low pressure bringing plenty of rain into southern and western areas as well. And it carries on up to day 10, with the low pressure centred just to southwest. And there's going to extend range. That low pressure, that trough gets out of the way. High pressure develops from the north, which is quite unusual. High pressure developing from the north, sitting over the country. Don't just dry out. It will probably be quite cool under that area of high pressure, particularly so at night, I would have thought. But drier for the second week of September, we've got the remains of a hurricane there, I think, in the North Atlantic as well, as we get towards the middle part of the month, indicating that maybe this Atlantic hurricane season is about to start kicking off. Right, GEM, looks like that. High pressure dominates weather. If you enjoyed the video, by the way, please leave a like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody. for doing that. Drop a comment. Let's know about this and all of our videos. GEM, again, high pressure dominates through the middle part of the week, then weakens at the end of the week into the weekend. Low pressure takes over, bringing showers along as well as rain. Again, the low pressure particularly focused on the south for England, Wales. Looks like it's where we get wettest weather with that. And that trough of low pressure sits even over the south as we get all the way to day 10, which is Wednesday the 7th of September. And then the ECM rounding it all off with high pressure dominating through the middle of the week and then weakening into next weekend. Low pressure bringing wet weather probably towards southern, southwestern parts of the country. The ECM continues to be the warmest of all models, though, and slightly less unsettled compared to all of the other models, actually, as we go through next weekend. So you'll notice there the low pressure is much further away from us with the ECM, and we are again seeing that very warm southerly southeasterly flow that the ECM was showing yesterday. So that's how the upper air temperatures look for Monday 5th September, bringing the plus 15 Celsius iceberg back into the south. That's the following day, Tuesday the 6th of September, again drawing up that southerly southeasterly flow and turning hard across England and Wales with a plus 15 Celsius iceberg pushing northwards. That probably gets the temperature in the south back to 30 degrees. So out of all of the models, the ECM is less wet, less unsettled, and certainly significantly warmer. By day 10, the low pressure coming back in from off the Atlantic, getting rid of that heat and turning things probably thundery as it does so. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Tometeo.com. So it will be a lot of dry weather around over the next few days. Not completely dry, there'll be showers here and there, but lots of dry weather to come until you get to around the 3rd of September. And then we start to see some unsettled weather, some heavy showers, maybe thunderstorms breaking out across England and Wales. And further bouts of rain, particularly in the west-southwest as we get towards day 10. That looks quite thundery there, midnight from the 6th to the 7th of September. Remember, though, the other models are more unsettled than that from next weekend onwards, and nowhere near as hot either. Lastly, for this sunny roundup, these are the options on the table within the ECM Ensemble today for day 10, which gets us to the 7th of September. The Icelandic Meteorologists, 13 members of the ECM Ensembles have low pressure just to our south-southwest, high pressure is to the north. That looks quite unsettled, especially so for the south. We've got 12, including control on the operational run, have the low pressure. It's a little bit further away from us, and so that draws up that very warm southerly flow. That's why it turns hot. We've got 9 just here, but are cool and unsettled. The low pressure right in top of the country in combination with northern blocking. We've got 8 with high pressure between Greenland and Scandinavia. Low pressure more or less over top of the country. That's going to be relatively cool and unsettled. 6 with low pressure in off the Atlantic and across northeastern Europe, high pressure blocking around Greenland. That looks very unsettled. And then 3 with high pressure to west and northwest, low pressure to east southeast. That's showery and probably quite cool as well. So that idea of bringing up like very hot air from the south, I think that's a little bit of an outlier actually with it from the ECM operation run. I think that's a little bit of an outlier in comparison to the rest of the ensemble members. Probably, I think most of them are a little bit cooler, a little bit more unsettled than the EC operation run today. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets 12th of September. 26 members of ECM ensembles bring high pressure back, but have it to the north and northwest. So we do turn drier, but probably quite cool. With that, winds coming in from the northeast. We have 16 with high pressure centred around Greenland, trough low pressure over Scandinavia. That leaves us in a rather chilly northerly wind, probably. And then 9 with, loads of high latitude blocking, really. Lots of high pressure up here, and probably a trough of low pressure underneath it. The patterns are looking a little bit different for this September, I have to say, compared to what we normally think for September, which is Azores high, ridging and whatnot. This looks like we have quite a lot of blocking going on here to deal with for this September, which, if that is also an unusual scenario, so that will add uncertainty within the model output. And if that is combined with like the Atlantic hurricane tropical storm season ramping up, and we start getting lots of storms going in the Atlantic, then model reliability is going to absolutely plummet, and we can expect to have a little bit of a nightmare with models probably over the next week or two with this pattern, if it happens to coincide with the tropics in the Atlantic livening up too. But we'll see about that. No CFS data for this Sunny round. We're going to show you all of that in the live stream tonight from 8 PM. So I'll show you the CFS monthlies, CFS weeklies, CFS monthlies, and we'll also have a look at Patal Pen. We'll try and fit in Beijing Climate Centre 2. It's going to be an epic long-range Sunny roundup, what I'm talking about, live stream. And we will show you in that live stream as well, the trials there, of course. So that'll be coming up from 8 PM this evening. If you've enjoyed the video, please do like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids and drop a comment. Let us know about this all our video. Don't forget to hit the bell and be notified when we release our content. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. Right, that's it then for the last Sunny round of the year. I know it's not been as many Sunny rounds as we normally do. I was only going to do once a month anyway, and then I had to take quite a bit of time off, of course, with all of the disasters that occurred earlier on in the year. So I think it's probably around the third or fourth Sunny roundup that we've done this year. Is the last one, because we're off and running into weekly winter updates from next Sunday, 4th of September. And I reckon, now let me know what you think in the live stream, but I reckon this Sunny roundup sets things up very, very nicely for the winter updates. So I shall see you at 8 PM for our live stream, but for this final Sunny roundup of 2022, that's all for now. And thank you so much for watching. See you later.